spell murder is.
Can you girls go get your name tags? Thank you. You too.
Super secret number.
Super secret number.
My number is.
Girls, are you telling everybody else your secret number?
Yes,
yeah. Oh, you're trying to find out other people's number?
Shame on you.
Are you tricking them into saying it?
Secret number. I got my.
Alrighty. Let's all take a look at our front side where the letters are. How many different letters do we see?
3. 10. I have 3.
There's 10 total, but how many different ones are there? 4. What are those letters?
W.
W.
D. R.
Alright. So these letters are going to correspond to those beads on your desk in the cups. W is going to be for white. What do you think Y is?
Yellow. Blue. Black. Yes. Why?
R is going to be for black. Because 2 B's, that doesn't make any sense, does it? You're going to start on the left-hand side because we read from left to right. Is that correct? Then you read from right to left. But we're going to start on the left-hand side, and you're going to place your beads on your pipe cleaner. Make sure you fold up the end of your pipe cleaner so your bead does not fall through. That is our first task for today, is placing our beads on our pipe cleaner in the correct order as shown on your paper. If you run out of beads, please raise your hand, and I will come fill up your cup again. When you're putting your beads on, if you hold your pipe cleaner up and down, the bead on the bottom should be the first letter on the left-hand side of your paper.
These are gonna come off.
Fold it up another time. Just like this.
Look at mine.
All done? What? Yeah. When you put all 10 beads on your pipe cleaner, you can go ahead and fold the other end over. Just fold it over. So. You all right there, Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
We do it twice.
Every time I push them out, I steal them.
When your entire table is done, I want you to put your hands on your head.
Are we done?
When your entire table is done.
Telling your secret.
Good. What did I ask you to do when your table is done? What does your table do?
Put your care. Oh, and some people are going to be using that. Oh. It's the top secret. Owen.
Do you know your number? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my.
Perfect. All right. You can put your hands down.
Yay!
I just actually really.
That's okay. Do it real quick again.
I'm doing
While I
it.
give the rest of the instructions.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
On the back of your slip, you all have a number, correct?
Yeah.
Did everybody memorize that super secret number?
Yes.
Yeah. Now here's the fun part. Someone else in this room has the exact same number you do, and you have to find that person without saying your number or any numbers around your number. See, so there's 12 numbers. You can't say the word. You can't say any number 1 through 12 while you're trying to find your partner.
Alright.
Okay.
Can we go?
You may go. Walk around. Try and find your number. If you think you found your partner, raise your hand and I'll come check.
No, you have too many yellows. I have 5. Good. Oh, you got 3 yellows. No, you have 3 yellows.
Oh, let me see. Sumner, do you have a black one? Always. Sway. Taylor. Sway.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you 1 more minute and then I'll give you a hint.
Who starts? Who starts?
Yellow.
Where's yellow and white and yellow? I 5 stacks. What's the find our number? Oh, some are. Is that your number? Oh. Is that how many? No. What's the number?
Really, what do you have?
They all have heads. So big.
I know. On the back.
Are you my favorite? Some are.
The color beads aren't the same, guys.
You want to find the person that had the same number on the back of your strip as you did.
So it's not the same number?
It's not going to be the exact same. Your beads are not going to look the exact same.
Tristan, count my beads. That's not how you are. Is that your number?
Wait, we don't need those. That's so weird. How many numbers you have on?
Is this how many beads you have? Or what the number is?
Sir.
Is this your number? No. Count the beads. Is that the number?
Always 10.
I know. On the back of your card. Is that the number? You have to count the beads. See how many there are. I know. On the back of your card.
Yes. They're all 10.
Okay. Thank you. Is that your number?
All right.
No, because that's her number, but she can't say her number. The beads don't have to match. Like, this is my number,
No, you have to yell.
How do you know?
but I can't say it. Okay, you didn't tell me his number, but his number is 11 or 12.
The beads aren't going to be the same.
No.
All right. You may now find your partner by asking them what their number was on the back.
12. it's the same color beads how many you have, isn't it?
Oh, it's the
Everybody has the same amount.
It's
The opposite
royal.
of it, it's the opposite.
Well, look at our white and our yellow.
Ours is
Our yellow and black and
It's just opposite.
yeah, because black and white and yellow.
Okay, everybody listen up. Roderick made a very good point. Can you repeat that for us?
The blue, if one bead is yellow, then the bead on the other person will be white, and if it's blue, then the other bead will be black.
Is that how it works for everybody's?
Yes.
We're all opposite.
Yeah. So blue and black. Am I going to have to take those away?
No.
You'll need them later. Some of you, they're all opposite. So your partners is the exact opposite, except for yellow and white always pair together, and black and blue always pair together, correct? Yeah. So if we take our, may I use yours here as an example? If we take our beads and our pipe cleaners, we make this one a little longer, and then we twist them together. Can we twist them together? One person in each group? I'm going to untwist yours.
Oh, we're supposed to make them like DNA strands.
Very good observation. What's your name?
Jack?
Jack?
Yes.
Jack, do you want to repeat that so the entire class can hear you?
We're making DNA strands.
Good. We're making DNA strands.
It works.
So you guys each take one and pass it back. Take a blank paper and pass it back. Take a blank paper and pass it back. Each of you take one.
I'm not following directions.
Yeah. It works better when we have more beads, but I didn't want to make you guys go my beads faster. There's a blank piece of paper that's coming through. Everybody needs one. This is what we are going to write our notes on today. When everybody has their blank piece of paper, please put your hand in your head.
I got it. I'm not your walk.
Alright, based on, you may take your hand off. Based on our little activity today and what Jack said in the back, what do you think we're talking about today? DNA. Good. So that, on your paper, everybody turn it landscape. Does everybody know what that means? Long side. Not up and down, long side. Yeah, good. Turn landscape, and we're going to write DNA at the very top of our paper. Because that's what we're talking about. I would suggest you write it in the middle of your paper. In the middle on the top. What did we talk about yesterday in class with Mr. Buse? What did you talk about? What? Chromosomes. What else? What was that? What was that activity? There's this, there's boxes, and you have a big A and a little a.
Punnett square.
A Punnett square. And what does that Punnett square decide? What does it show you.
Dominant and recessive trait.
Dominant and recessive traits. So you get to see kind of if two people with homozygous recessive gene get married and they have kids, their children will have that same gene, correct? Well, how do we know where are those genes coming from? Where are those traits coming from? How do we know those are homozygous recessive or heterozygous dominant? How do you think? Where do we get that information from? DNA, good. So our DNA holds information for us. So we want to put a little line down, and we're going to say that our DNA holds information. And I abbreviate information with info. You can write it out if you'd like to. And then, but unfortunately, DNA holds all of this information, but it doesn't really do anything. It's kind of like when you go to the store with your mom, and she's like, hold my purse while I try on this 100th different shirt. And you just kind of stand there. Or when you go grocery shopping and you just kind of walk by her, and she asks you, like, what do you want? And you tell her, but you don't really do anything, do you? Just kind of there. That's kind of what DNA does. It like holds information, it passes it on to other people, but your mom's the one with the credit card. She's the one that gets to buy all this stuff, right? Yeah. So DNA is kind of like us. We go to the store, we kind of tell her what we want, but then she's the one that buys it. And our moms are our proteins. These are the people that are actually going to use that information. And these are very cool, by the way. You should all aspire to get one.
A plaque.
A plaque, yes. An FFA plaque. I got a couple. They're super cool. My dad hung them up in my family room so everybody can see them when they come over. So you should all want to get one of these. Yeah, you will. All right. So our proteins are like our mothers or our fathers or our grandmothers or our older siblings who think they're so cool because they have a credit card and we don't. And then our proteins are made up of something else as well. They're made up of amino acids. And the fun thing is that where do you think we get the information to make amino acids to make proteins? Where?
DNA.
Good. Say it louder.
DNA.
Good. We get all that information from DNA. So, what does DNA do?
Hold info.
And it's used by?
Proteins.
Which are made of?
Amino acids.
Good. Alright, so in order to understand how DNA kind of functions as a code or a recipe to make certain things, we're going to want to look at how our DNA molecules are formed, or how they look. So, how many strands do you have? 2. Good, you have 2 strands. You had, each of you made one, right? And then you came together with a partner. Yeah?
Yes.
And then we twisted them together, and that's what we call a double helix. What is it?
Double helix.
Good. And so our DNA is a double helix.
So less than the double helix.
Now we already made this observation at the beginning. What did we notice about our 2 strands of DNA and our beads that connect, that are on them? Our two pipe cleaners. They're what?
Opposite.
Good. They have two strands and they're opposite. So red and blue, or red. Black and blue always connect. And yellow and white always connect, correct? So let's just imagine here that our DNA, so we have these pipe cleaners, right? We have these pipe cleaners. But in our bodies, we can't just take the ends of our DNA and twist them together really, really, really tight and then hope that they don't come apart. Do you think that's how that works?
No.
No. So if you look at your DNA strands, how else could you possibly get them to hook together? Glue. What would you glue?
The tips.
The tips. So we don't want to do that because what happens if we need to put more beads on there? We'd have to rip it apart and then it might break. What else could we... I like the glue idea. The glue idea is good. Okay, you can make little balls at the bottom.
The two opposites. And so can grow on. Keep growing.
So you can connect the two opposite beads, right? With glue. And that's kind of what DNA does. It takes our two different beads and they always connect to the same one. So if you have a red or a black bead, it'll always connect to a blue bead, right? And it kind of glues them together. It sticks them together. And our beads are called nucleotides. Jay. Toasted. So, our DNA strand is double helix, right? And it's connected by, what did I say? Glue. Nucleo what? Nucleotides. Good. And you all have a little more room on your paper than I do, so if you want to branch it out a little bit, feel free. Now, how many beads did we have?
10. Well, 20 combined.
Good. And how many different ones did we have?
4.
4. So what do you think that means about our nucleotides? If we had 4 different beads, what do you think? There's what?
2.
There's
4 different.
4 different nucleotides. Good. So if we have 4 different nucleotides, do you think we should know what those ones are called? And which ones combine together? Because in our beads, if we only can combine black and blue, do you think it would be a good idea if we tried to combine 2 different nucleotides in our DNA that weren't supposed to be together? No, it probably wouldn't work, would it? So, our 4 different nucleotides, Mr. Morrow can correct me if I say these wrong, are thymine, and we're going to represent that with a T, just like we represented our blue with the big B. Adenine, and we're going to represent that with an A, because we represented our black beads with an R.
Like our menu now? That's our menu.
That's very impressive. And then cytosine. And what do you think we're going to represent that one with?
C.
C, good. And one more. Our last one is boramine. And what do you think we represent that one with?
G.
G. You should have going.
Is that a GU or a GB?
GU, sorry. GUANINE. Before we go on, I'm going to erase this middle section. Is everybody all right with that?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you do not have the middle section complete. All right, our nucleotides do something different or something else rather than just hold our double helix together. They also, what was that? I heard it earlier. They hold what? Information. Good. So depending on the order that these are in on one strand, what do you think they'll make? What was the last thing you wrote down over here?
Amino acids.
Amino acids. Good. So our nucleotides also code or make the code for amino acids. And you can connect that. I'm not going to connect it on mine, but you can also connect yours to the amino acids on your middle section. Does that make sense? If you want to draw a line, may I use yours as an example? So if you have your middle line right here, and at the end you put amino acids, right?
Yes.
Could you just maybe draw a line from your nucleotides to your amino acids, saying that they're connected? Yeah? Or you can just write on the other side,
And then we would write under amino acids.
code for amino acids. And you can put in parentheses under your first amino acids that says made of nucleotides or something to keep you remembering.
Hello. You can move it if you want.
Is Mr. Morrow distracting you?
Apparently.
Now, what would happen if we wanted to add, actually, I want you all to close your eyes. Everybody needs to sit down and close your eyes. We're going to put everything down. Pencils are, do you have a question? Oh, you trust it. Everybody's going to close their eyes. And you're going to think back to the first thing we made today, which was one single strand of DNA. Okay? And then remember, you combined with your partners and you made a full DNA molecule, a double helix. Now you are that double helix. Feel it, breathe it, see it. Close your eyes. And you're just hanging out. You're hanging out, you're doing DNA-ish things, just chilling, being cool, not doing much because we don't really do anything. But then you're like, you know, I want to be bigger. I want to be more than just one DNA molecule. Maybe I want to be 2. Close your eyes. Maybe I want to be 4 or 6 or a lot more. Okay, open your eyes. How do you think we're going to do that? How do we make more DNA molecules?
Connect with other people.
So we can't connect two. May I see yours? Yeah. So if we connect 2 like this, it changes our DNA structure, right? Because isn't this a different pattern if we connect them end to end?
Make copies.
We make copies. How are we going to make copies? Not quite. What do you think? What do you think we could do? What was the after we made our first strand, what did we do after that? What did we do? We made our first strand, and then we found our partner, and we did what?
Connected.
Connected. Do you think maybe we could unconnect? And then...
Oh wait, you can.
Yeah.
Five.
You can break apart the certain parts.
So if you... Can you repeat that louder? Everybody listen.
So if you're a DNA strand, you can break apart certain parts and then connect to other DNA strands, and then just start multiplying.
Good. So DNA can split apart, and then there's other nucleotides just floating around, and then they connect to the matching ones. So if we took this DNA strand, and it untwisted itself, and then whoop, it was two individual ones. Ooh, no, it was tight. Two individual ones. What would we have to do to make a whole one?
Find another one.
Well, what would we have to find? Say there's not another one. These two can't add up anymore. Like, they're looking for other partners. They need to find the same exact one of them. What if there isn't a same exact one? What? Say it louder. I don't think you're heard
Make
you.
a new one.
You make a new one. How would you make a new one? Good. So your nucleotides would just attach the opposite of what you have on your original one, right? So we're going to, and that is called, I'm going to double check my notes before I give you wrong information, but that is called replication. When your DNA unwinds itself and then it copies itself. Thank you, dear.
Only in California.
So what is that called again? Replication. Good. And what do we do when we replicate DNA?
It unwinds and you make it.
So it copies itself. So each of us is going to perform our replication surgery on our DNA strand that we have already made. I know, right? So what's our first step? What are we going to have to do first? You have to take it apart. Good. And each of you gets a strand. Does it matter if you get your same strand back or not?
No.
Yes? No? Does it? I don't think so. Should you already know how to put the opposite strand together? Yeah. How would you put, so if you didn't get to see your paper, all you got was handed one of these, how would you know how to put the other strand together? Huh? You can't look at your partners.
No, you look at yours and just put the opposite bead on as you go.
Good job. So if your first bead is black on the strand you already have, what should the first bead be on your new strand?
Blue.
Good. If your second bead is yellow on the strand you already have, what should be the second bead on your new strand? White. Oh, who didn't get one? Did you get one?
How deadly these are.
So everybody needs to perform their DNA replication surgery. If you run out of beads, please raise your hand. Yellow and white.
black sheet.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna need 3 yellows. Wait, put the opposite. Yeah, I've already had at least 20 people ask. What did I just say?
Mara.
Hey, I'm gonna need backwards. No, I'm doing it backwards. On the opposite thing. Do it backwards. So like how yours and mine. I don't know, but okay. Okay, bring yellow back. I need a flag. Can someone please hand me a flag? I know what I'm doing. It's easier to grab it.
You know what you're doing?
Yeah, I know. I mean, if we try to do that, that's why you don't use it back. I need a black. I need a black part. Oh my god. I need a yellow. Anyone? Yellow? Anyone? I need a blue, please. Oh, I need a blue. We don't know what that is. I have one black. I need a black. I need black. I need a blue.
Jump right on Thank you.
No. Mrs. Boy.
That's my mother, Miss Soy. I'm just kidding. You're fine.
Boy. We need more beads.
What color do you need? Black.
Wait, hold on. Black and yellow. Cracky white.
Just black, black and yellow.
You kill it.
Black and yellow. Black and yellow.
Did you know that song is about a did you kill that? The song Black and Yellow is inspired by you have yellow right there.
Why give them back at the end of class? Any ones that you don't use? Which ones do you really need?
We really do.
When your entire group is finished making your new strand of DNA, what do you think you should do?
Put your hands on your head.
Hands on your head.
Weird. Oh my gosh.
That's your best color. You're not ready? Oh no, I thought half of your group sold out.
Are we wait.
Whoa. Do you need more beats for this instance at this point? As soon as your entire table is finished creating whole strands of DNA, please put your hands on your head. Ladies. Like that.
Really want that.
Still waiting for everybody to place their hands on their head.
Put your hands under your head.
I was like,
I caught it.
No, I'm serious. What's the code?
Make Jack make your largest again.
Alright, so now we have our 2 strands of DNA. We copied them, right? So if you look at your partners, you have 2 strands that look exactly the same as your partners. Your 2 strands. You set them right next to your partner. Yeah? Yeah? Are they the same?
No, I just made this. Wait, this was yours. I just made this. You know,
If you and your partner have the same 2 strands, then you did it perfectly. You perfectly.
We perfectly fit together.
That too. If you do not have 2 strands of DNA that look exactly the same as your partners, then there's a nucleotide that's pairing with one that shouldn't.
We just had DN. We just had DN.
Oh.
We didn't have A.
Oh.
We're fixing the A.
Perfect. Now, what's our last step? We have our nucleotides on our strand.
Twist them together.
Yeah, they're hooked together. We twist them to form a what? What is this called? What?
Double helix.
What is it called?
Double helix.
Good. What are the nucleotides on our DNAs? Double helixes. What are they? What represents our nucleotides on our? What are beads? What? Beads? Yes. Our beads are our nucleotides.
There's another one.
When everybody has their beads twisted or their DNA strands twisted together, what are we going to do?
What?
When our DNA strands are twisted together to form a double helix. Well, look. Put your hand up. No, you're good. You have to double it. So we performed replication. And so we just made more. So. What was the function we just performed?
Replication.
Replication. And what does replication do?
Copies DNA.
Does it make more, or do we have the same amount?
More, because it keeps the same amount.
How many says that we get more DNA after replication? Raise your hand if you think we have more DNA strands or DNA double helixes after replication. Who says we have the same amount of DNA double helixes after replication? You can't raise your hand twice.
I'm not actually didn't raise my hand.
How many people?
You have double the amount.
How many people at the beginning of class had a double strand? Raise your hand. So did each pair have a double strand, or did each person have a double strand? Each pair or each person at the beginning of class? Each pair.